I'm not going to get straight to the point. I thought about it and said, no, I'm not going to get straight to the point. I'm going to drag this out. Not for too long, though, just a short while. And because of the clip I'm going to play for you, I think it's fitting for me to use football for my long-winded analogy. Right? And now I have to explain. Some people I'll be preaching to the choir, but not everybody knows football, so let me explain to them. Football. On any given play, you got 22 players out there. 11 on defense, 11 on offense, total 22. But sometimes there are only 21 people out there. There's even been cases of only 20 people being out there. And what does that mean when there are only 21 players out there? Right now, some teams will purposely line up with only 10 players out there to maybe remember a fallen comrade, a teammate that got killed in a car crash or something. But other than that exception, what does it mean when there are only 21 players out there? Well, to put it plain, short answer, it means somebody fucked up. The coach forgot to send the guy out there, or the guy that was supposed to be out there forgot that he was supposed to be out there. And what could happen when a defense only got 10 people out there instead of 11?
And 4 at the 31. Chris Johnson now lines up at the... Nobody's covering him. Nobody's covering Chris Johnson. Wow! There he goes again. Breakaway speed. And he'll jog into the end zone. Touchdown.
Within 15 yards of him at the snap. I mean, it's easy. You can't win if you're the Texans. You're not going to cover him. And I'll tell you what, Gus, here's the kicker. He came out of the huddle. He didn't sneak in off the sidelines. He just walked out of the huddle and jogged out to his spot.
Great recognition by Kerry Collins.
Yeah, I'll tell you what.
To see him.
That's a veteran.
Receiver wide open. Nobody to cover him. He like, hey, ain't nobody over here, man. Throw that shit over here. And what have I seen happen when an offense only got 10 people out there instead of 11?
You fake it to Hurd. Hit from the blind side. Ball comes loose. And the Volunteers scrapping for it, but it's Oklahoma ball. Quentin Hayes made the recovery. Worley never saw it coming.
Straight to the quarterback. Knocked this block off because they were shorthanded. Well, that was a blitz, but still, somebody was missing. But my football analogy is in regards to these refusals. The refusal from people on the left to acknowledge that they've been fucking up these past 4 years, and even after the loss, they're doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down on the very things that turned so many states red. The excuses that they've been making are nobody's fault other than their own. And the football analogy is because of Stephen A. Smith, who is a sports dude, in his appearance on The View. Hear the refusal. Listen close.
So Trump's only been in office for 6 weeks. Seems like 6 years, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. And he's been going around with his cronies touting his so-called landslide and blowout win. But he won the popular vote by 1.5%, one of the smallest ever, and he won the general election by less than 50%. So what kind of mandate is this really?
Well, it is a mandate, and I'm going to explain why. And I don't mind the question, but let me be very clear. I'm no supporter of Trump. I'm a supporter of truth and the facts. And here's the facts. The man won every swing state. He increased in terms of his voter turnout in his favor from the standpoint of blacks, Latinos, and young voters. He increased his numbers in that regard from 2020. 89% of the counties shifted to the right. That's a mandate. We can sit up there and play around all we want to. In 2020, Trump didn't win the popular vote. He didn't win the electoral college vote. A matter of fact, the Republicans hadn't won the popular vote, if I remember correctly, since 2004. But they did this year. So 20 years after they last won the popular vote, they won the popular vote. They won the electoral college vote. The man won every swing state. And on top of it all, 89% of the counties shifted against. I don't understand how people can look at that and say, there's no mandate. There's a mandate.
Well, it's a different definition of a mandate, I guess.
But the problem is that if you're the Democratic Party and you lost 49.8% to 48.3%, and you're looking at that 1.5% dip, that's an excuse for you to say, what we did really wasn't that bad.
Some people didn't
we should continue to do that.
Do you
no,
think that
don't continue to do that. Find a new strategy.
Okay, what's that supposed to mean? I've even had people post that same nothing on a few of my videos when I was talking about how many states went red. Listen again to what she says.
3%, and you're looking at that 1.5% dip. That's an excuse for you to say, what we did really wasn't that bad.
some people didn't
we
show
should
up.
continue to do that.
Do you think
No,
that those-
don't continue to do it.
do you
Find a
think
new
that-
strategy.
but
Bad.
some people didn't
we
show
should
up.
continue to do that.
Do you think
No,
that those-
don't continue to do it.
do you
Find a
think
new
that-
strategy.
But
Your side didn't show up to vote. Okay, what does that mean? Like I said earlier, it means somebody fucked up.
Send Moss in motion, and he's trailed by Sehorn, who then blitzes, and that leaves Moss wide open, and Randy will walk his way into the end zone. So
You didn't show up? Somebody went missing? Is that what you're saying? Okay. Trump and the Red Party is wide open now.
blitz, and nobody covered Moss.
This is a gift. Sehorn with the blitz. He's picked up easily. Toughest thing here for Moss is to catch the ball. He knows he's wide open. There goes the hand. The hand goes up. Dante better throw him the ball. Then he's got to stay in bounds and do a little dancing.
A lot of people didn't show up. Well, okay, whose fault is that? The Red Party had their 11 on the field, but it's supposed to be their fault that the blue voters only had 10 out there? Stop it. And they say this as an excuse or as a way to say that Trump didn't win legitimately, or the manifesto meaning the DNC's devilishment these past 4 years, isn't why Trump is president. It's of no fault of their own. And that's what you saw Stephen trying to tell them. But you heard the hand cackling, talking about, no, it's because the left voters didn't show up. But again, even if that was the case, whose fault is that? Whose fault is that the receiver is wide open or the linebacker blew your quarterback's head off? And the numerous denials of the left is why people ran away from home. Refusing to correct themselves. It's not that people didn't show up to vote. That's just part of the, not showing up to vote is just part of the left's excuse factory. It was that people ran away from home. That's why that happened. Or in other words, they turned Red Party from blue to red. But let's just say it was a case of them not showing up to vote. The question is then, why? If that's the case, I'll tell you why. Why is the insane objectives of the DNC just crazy stuff?
It looked like this.
So the left saw that and said, you know what? I think I'll go over there. Like this defensive back going to the wrong huddle.
Duke, they feel maybe he's too small to play in this league, but he is really battling for a roster spot. And now we have a stoppage of play. That's John Mangum out of Alabama, and they were pointing to him as if Mangum may have been injured and a little bit disoriented. Now they come out to take him off the field.
And you wonder why they ran away from home like this defensive back in the huddle with the Red Party, because he just got his block knocked off. Look at him over there with the other team. The other team like, look, ref, this dude, he's not here. He's not well. Get him out of here. And these excuses that's being made are a vehicle to deny the Satanism that the left has demonstrated these past 4 years. Their hatred for America and the people in America has been going on since 2019. Meanwhile, in the aftermath of the Trump White House, there's been this chatter. I'm going to call it chatter. There's been this chatter about how the DNC can win Senate seats in the next election in 2 years. All while in denial of how they fucked up and is still fucking up by quadrupling down on all the things that turned the states into a sea of red in the first place. Or in other words,
You'll never learn.